I'll
We'll,
go with.
we'll just comment.
I'll
Vern take the lead
yeah,
on this.
Vern can
I'm sure
say
you
what-
probably want to talk baseball, winter meeting.
I do.
Yeah,
I actually
sure.
do want to talk about
Sure.
baseball.
And a little bit about the Astros stealing signs.
No, I'm curious that the Giants haven't lifted a finger and spent a dime on free agency, and time's running out. All the great pitchers are getting signed.
Okay,
Well, it's only Tuesday. There's 2.5 more days of winter meetings to
taken care of.
Yeah, $245 million.
That's if we want to talk sports econ, that's certainly
That's definitely a big part of it. You guys ready?
sure.
Go.
All right, here we go. Well, welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Bernie Glenn of CBS affiliate KPIX TV in San Francisco, and Russell Jackman. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question, and today the theme is no more excuses.
No more curling.
And no more curling. Yeah, there's no curling in this one here.
All right.
Okay, and let's see at the when we come back, because this is just a quick intro. I want to talk about the Hall of Fame, because I think the bar is getting set a little bit too low. No offense to the guys who are being inducted.
You're talking about baseball Hall of Fame or football?
I'm sorry,
okay.
baseball
All right.
Hall of Fame. Yeah,
Just don't want to
good
confuse
players,
the audience out there. I mean,
good players, but Hall of Fame, yeah.
Well, my big thing is if you have to think about it, they're not a Hall of Famer.
Exactly. And again, I love some of these guys, but
Yeah.
I just unfortunately don't think they're Hall of Famers. And let's see, what else? We're going to talk a little baseball also with regard to, I want to talk about the Astros stealing signs. And then
And you got to address football. Can't ignore the elephant in the room.
We got lots of football to talk about.
Sure.
All right, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, still providing mortgage investments that are currently yielding over 7.5%. In fact, the last distribution was 7.8%.
What? I thought it was 7.7.
Yeah,
7.8?
It's 7.8, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And do you realize that they've done $700 million worth of loans, over 1,600 of them, 0 losses?
Well, now.
That's because they're very choosy.
Hey, now.
Very choosy in what they do. Check them out. Doesn't get any more conservative than that at pacificprivatemoney.com.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. You can listen to Sports Econ 101 on Sports Byline USA, CRN, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and hundreds of stations across the U.S. of A. All right, don't touch that dial because Sports Econ 101.
Who has a dial for their radio?
Well, that's because if they're listening in the car.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, listen, I'm old school here.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to be 60 pretty soon. That's old. That's almost dead. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back.
Almost dead.
There'll be legions of people out there going, what's wrong with 60?
Exactly.
I felt that way about turning 50, though.
You know, it's funny. 50 didn't bother me. 50 didn't bother me. I think, you know what I think it is? It's because I'm starting to feel some of the pain of getting older.
Oldness, yes.
I mean, I had this surgery thing. It's been 3 weeks as of tomorrow, and it's still not like. I mean, I want to be starting to lift and do do pull-ups and all that stuff. I can't do it.
I don't.
And so, like, I got to get this one done. And they said, well, this one hasn't healed yet, so let's wait a month. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Are we having that guest on today?
No, that's next week.
Oh, next week.
Yeah. Mr. Steve Baker. This is 14th. You'll like him. He's a firecracker. Wouldn't you call Steve a little bit of a firecracker? Oh,
well, when he gets going, if you can catch his attention and hold it.
That's.
We could probably
love him.
We could probably get Buddy Biancalana back on again.
Back on, yeah. I've had him on once or twice. Is he? Sometimes he's back in town. Sometimes
He's got that major pitching thing that he's going to be. You know, the coach, the pitch analysis.
Should probably get him just before baseball season. You know, maybe late January or something.
He's a delightful guy.
Oh, he's a very nice guy. It's funny. I didn't know him when we were in high school together. I mean, I went.
I went
to Santa Fe. He went to Redwood. Graduated the same year.
I know he is one of Redwood's most famous graduates, other than Gavin Newsom.
Gavin who?
He was in my math class.
Gavin was?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. didn't have anything else to do with me at all in any way, shape, or form.
Hey, you know, be a good guest for the show. We ought to have Brian Murphy on.
Oh yeah, we've had him on.
Oh
before.
yeah.
Murphy's called in.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he was good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, be good.
We've
had everybody.
He says his greatest sports moment while attending TAM was defeating Redwood and Newsom in a basketball game at TAM.
We were terrible. During the 4 years I was at Redwood, I think sports-wise, like the entire school won like 2 games of anything. They were just terrible.
See, they were always known for baseball, and their basketball team was pretty good. But when I got to say something.
The football team was horrible.
Our football team. I went to Terra Linda, and when I was a senior, we were good, but the incoming freshmen were phenomenal. In fact, 3 of the guys ended up playing pro football.
Great.
Yeah, the smallest guy. Remember, these guys are 14 years old. The smallest was like 6'2", 250.
And once they filled out,
Oh yeah, exactly.
look out.
All right.
Pete Carroll is an alumni.
Yeah, he and Bruce went to school together. They
overlapped.
They overlapped a little bit. I think Carroll was a little bit older than Bruce.
Right.
Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn.
Yeah.
And Russell.
Bruce.
I almost said Bruce. More Bruce. Bruce is taking a hiatus for a while. All right. Let's first want to ask about the Hall of Fame. All right.
All right. Let's go down the list.
Let's go down the list here. Okay. So Harold Baines, loved him as a player.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't put him in there.
I wouldn't put him in though.
He's got numbers, but then again, it's like, no.
Exactly.
Right.
And then now, like for the Veterans Committee, Ted Simmons. I mean, he played a long time. His catcher, St. Louis. Hit 285. I mean, if you hit under 300, it's kind of hard to.
Yeah, but you put him up there with the Immortals. No, sorry. I mean, Ted, great player, but that.
Yeah,
no.
exactly.
Right.
And so the thing is, do you start lowering the bar, and then the questions get asked? Okay, Dale Murphy.
See, I would like.
Now, Dale Murphy, you might want to scratch your head with a 2-time MVP.
Yeah.
Of the league.
Yeah. I mean, he was always up there. He
had a huge run in the 1980s with the Atlanta Braves.
Dwight Evans. I don't think he had enough good years. But
I would
he was
agree with
great.
That. Played a long time, but
he didn't have enough really good years.
Yeah.
And Dave Parker, same thing, and especially toward the end of his career.
I like Dave Parker a lot, though, and he's pretty famous. I mean, to me, the Hall of Fame, you have to look at the last part of it. It's fame. It's how really famous are you? Are you a name that people just stop and recognize?
Dale Murphy, nobody was. He's one of those. He was so quiet.
I recognize him. As I said, the 2-time MVP thing makes you famous right there.
Look, like football, you got to be dominant at your position for at least a 5-year run in your career.
And then what happens when guys start really tailing off? That's the hard part, because then you start kind of looking at those years too. You know what I mean? Especially if a guy's played for a long time. Here's an example. Obviously, Willie Mays he's always been the greatest. Unfortunately, the last couple of years, he was older and he just couldn't do it. Now, him is easily to kind of excuse it away.
But just about all of them play too long.
Yeah.
I mean, the money's so good, or the passion for the game is so good.
Well, the designated hitter role, you don't really have to play that hard. You can just go out there and swing a couple times.
Yeah, but Mays was a Met at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
No DH.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
That's true.
And then now, and Dave Parker, I still remember, if you look at the highlights of him throwing out, I can't remember who he threw out at third, but when he was playing.
Canavan and Arm in the outfield.
He was playing with the Reds at the time. Oh, very similar.
I'd be for Murphy and Parker personally. I'd give those guys votes.
Don Mattingly, I think he had the record. He only hit like 19 pop flies to the infield.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
In his whole career. I mean, for a while he had the record for hitting consecutive home run games.
I'd go with Mattingly.
Here's the question: if Mattingly wasn't a Yankee, would he be a Hall of Famer?
Oh, that's interesting, because that's
probably
the thing.
not.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just being a Yankee kind of sort of.
You just associate him with pinstripes and the World Series championships, and him being, I don't know if he was captain of the team during his run or not, but I mean, I think you get more cachet when you put that uniform on, playing at old Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, because Murphy played for the Brewers, And the Atlanta Braves. Yeah, I'm thinking of
Number 3.
Paul Molitor, who played for Minnesota and Milwaukee. But now Molitor made it in. He was 3,000. He was a member of the 3,000 hit club. I mean,
and he's another guy that quietly got it done.
Very quietly, yeah. Yep. But when he had 3,000, actually Murphy hit 3,000 hits too, didn't he? Didn't Murphy get 3,000?
I don't have the numbers in front of me.
I know Molitor did. But that's the thing. So you get all excited and all that. He kind of gets.
Well, and not to bring up the ugliness of it, but we are getting into that steroid era. We're starting to find guys that we have to start worrying about, like whether numbers really mean as much.
Well, I don't think Mark McGwire should get in, and whether or not he did the steroids, he just hit a lot of home runs. But other than that, I just can't see.
What about Barry Bonds, who was a Hall of Famer before the steroid era?
Yeah, see, he would make it.
Gigantic can of worms, and then same with, Roger Clemens, who's also, been on the outside looking in.
Yeah, there's the old story that Bonds was so incensed at all of the attention on McGwire and Sosa during the time when they, quote, saved baseball, close quote. Yeah. That's what compelled him to allegedly do what they say that he did in order to vault himself up even further. But Bonds, in his mind, thought that he was always twice the ball player that those guys were.
He was. It's true, he was. When he played for Pittsburgh, he was phenomenal, and then he comes over to the Giants, he plays great. And it's interesting about, quote, saving baseball, because the 94 strike was terrible. I mean, that really put a lot of...
Oh, yeah. My own personal story is my only time driving across the United States when I was in Chicago. And I have a picture of myself at the Cubs Stadium with my head lowered at the logo, because there was going to be a game against Cincinnati that day, but I couldn't go see it because of the strike.
Wow. And that was the year that Matt Williams was on a tear to potentially break the record. And I think so was Griffey Jr. If you guys remember 94.
Matt Williams had an interesting career, because he was kind of up and down between AAA and the Giants when I started working TV in this market. Mm-hmm. And to see him as a coach, I had to interview with him when he was the third base coach for the A's.
And he's been on the show.
And I said, during your run, you're a manager, the Washington Nationals. Any of these kids come up to you and go, "Man, Matt, you played?" Because they don't know. I mean, and he had over 400 bombs in his career.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. What did he say?
He goes, "Oh, yeah, all the time. Yeah, all the time." They go, they can't believe that he had played, but they have no point of reference. Yeah.
Almost funny, like Roger Craig. How many people think about him being, not the football player, the manager. And then suddenly, and I look back at my old baseball cards, and there he is, a pitcher.
There he is. Yep.
Oh yeah, we'll go. And you even see
for the Brooklyn Dodgers, I believe. Correct. One of the teams.
I didn't have a Brooklyn Dodgers one. I think he got traded to like Cleveland or. So, he was. I had one of his cards from.
Guys,
he was the manager of the Giants when I started.
Think of Don Nelson now, and think of him him actually getting on an NBA court.
Don Nelson, he was a dominant player out of Iowa, man.
I know, but he had like
his numbers retired.
He had a flat top haircut. And, clean shaven, and probably hadn't smoked a joint. He was 30 years out.
He was big in that multiple overtime game against the Phoenix Suns in the
luckiest shots,
70 some odd NBA Finals.
What about Pat Riley?
Yeah,
Riles.
Right. Yeah.
Riles was a great player coming out of Kentucky.
He looks the same though. He doesn't. He hasn't changed. He has one of those fountains of youth going on. Yeah. The portrait of Dorian Gray.
No, but it's funny.
He was on that Adolph Rupp team in 1965 or 66 when they lost to Western Kentucky in the NCAA championship.
They made a movie out of it.
I was born in 67.
And Rupp, so was my sister, by the way, and my wife. And Rupp famously was very public about him not bringing in people of color into his program. But after that, that was a game changer.
Because you want to win. It don't matter. Bring Martians in if they're going to make you win. So, in fact, I remember, I didn't know Pat Riley had played until I saw the movie. In fact, because they changed, actually they became UTEP.
Right.
Well, he was never very good.
Pat Riley was good.
No,
He
NBA.
was the man. He was the man on because they even said the great Western Kentucky against the great Pat
in the
Riley.
NBA though
No,
his game didn't
college.
translate to the NBA,
college,
but in college, great player.
Great player. Okay, going to get to our first commercial trivia question here, and again the theme is no more excuses. This 2011 National League MVP winner, we're talking baseball. Obviously, MVP. Well, MVP winner supposedly tested positive for elevated levels of testosterone in his postseason urine sample. He was exonerated because the tester did not follow the proper protocols for sample collection. Of course, I'm not sure what the protocols were, but anyway, who was this ball player? So we're talking 2011 National League MVP, tested positive for steroids, but then was exonerated because the test.
I know. I have a good guess on that.
All right, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be right back.
All right. Segment 1 in the books.
Segment 2.
Segment 2 in the books. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, the first one's just an intro.
Yeah,
so,
intro.
But
I don't normally count the intro, but
well, that's true. I don't either. How was traveling back you were in the Midwest, weren't you?
I was in Kansas City.
Yeah, that was
right.
Man,
Then,
what I could tell this story on the air, but there was a 2-hour period where I lost my cell phone.
Oh no,
man! Let me tell you. Oh my God!
It's like losing a child in the mall.
Well, it's just it's like being in a foreign country with no
amazing how we rely on that
communication resources.
What did we do before
it's
that?
It's incredible.
Payphones.
Yeah.
Payphones ruled the world. Yeah, that's how you had to do it. Lord knows if anyone ever had to get a hold. I mean, pagers.
Pagers, yeah. 460. I almost remembered my pager number.
That's scary.
Yeah, I know. I still remember our 1966 station wagon, MWW 282. See, back in those days, you had, I don't know why, but you had to give your license plate number to the guy giving you gas. I don't remember why.
Wow, I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
And then if you went in, like if you pumped it yourself, you still went in to pay, and you gave what's your license plate
number? Here's the question: Why do they need to know your zip code when you pay for gas
I think
at a
it's
station?
So that they, I think it's so that they can figure out if you're stealing if it's a stolen credit card. Because if I'm in Washington and I got your credit card, I have probably no idea what your zip code is. Wait, isn't that what it is?
Well, I don't. I use it as a debit card, and I use my
your PIN. Yeah,
so.
But see, you got to know the PIN. But if I stole his credit card,
yeah,
and if I'm in some other place,
right? I think it is probably for some kind of security reason, but they shouldn't ask you that up front. It's only when you use it in the machine.
No, that's when they use it. That's when they ask for it. Guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Russell Jackman and Vern Glenn. We like to change it up once in a while here. All right. First trivia question was this 2011, this is No More Excuses is the title. This 2011 National League MVP winner was supposedly tested positive for elevated levels of testosterone in his postseason urine sample. He was exonerated because the tester did not follow the proper protocols for their sample collection. Who was this or is this baseball player?
You want my guess?
Sure.
Now batting, number 8, Ryan Braun.
That is correct. Very good. Not bad.
Yeah.
That was 8 years ago.
On a technicality. It's literally.
Yeah, because didn't he get tested? Didn't he get popped later on? Or did he go swing through the rest of it?
I think it was exonerated, and then he came back and put up solid numbers.
There you go.
To even back that up the next year.
Moving on to a little football here. This is something I wanted to cover last week. I think I forgot to do it. Apparently, the Jaguars overpaid Nick Foles on purpose. $88 million. $50 million.
They got along so that we'd help him get along with the other players.
Because they were worried that he would be how he'd be perceived in the locker room. So if you pay a guy more, players will look up to him.
But we said that's a double-edged sword because you can wind up having the people expect more performance out of you.
Absolutely.
And if you don't live up to that money, then you people. And Nick Foles has not lived up to the money.
No, he did.
Yeah, players been known to just press to justify that money, that they're making, and then sometimes it could just backfire right on them.
And so you should do that at your job at KPIX. Walk in there and go, hey, you got to pay me more because, everyone around me is going to be like, look at me.
Yeah, boy.
Look at all that bling.
If only that were true today. Back then, though, back in the I want to say 80s into early 90s, believe it or not, in first of all, in local television, everybody watched TV. Yeah. I mean, cable had not, these phones had not been invented. Yep. So everybody watched TV to get your information.
Yeah.
And it was a time where anchors and reporters had all the power.
Oh, yeah.
They had all of it.
Well, it's like radio in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
There wasn't too many TVs around, 40s, especially in the 30s and 40s, radio was the big thing.
Yeah. Now now the stations say, hey, we're doing you a favor. We got you on the payroll. Yeah. It's what?
That's tough. And the thing is, with all the cable stuff and all that, if they're looking at their bottom line, they only have so much money to go around. And I don't know how much money they have to go around, but if they're seeing their revenue drop, unless you get like the Super Bowl or something, but you got to pay for that, right? So how much does CBS pay to get the Super Bowl, and then they have to go sell the commercials?
Well, CBS and NBC and all the big. I mean, they all. I mean, it's like the buy-in. It's like the kitty, the money you put in, at the poker table, just for the right to play. So everybody ponies up to the NFL for those TV rights, and every 4 years you get to host on your air the Super Bowl, which is like the number one revenue generating single event that a TV network can have.
And maybe, Russell, do you know this? The answer to this? Do you know how much they pay the Super Bowl halftime celebrities?
In my opinion, if they pay them $10, it's too much.
They pay them zero.
Yeah,
generally they pay them nothing. It's the whole idea is they get the exposure. Now, someone like Madonna or whatever.
Yeah, they don't need it.
Which, speaking of Madonna, because I mentioned her, I was in an event, a business event in Vegas in early November. And I asked somebody, we just have to talk, what are you doing while you're in Vegas? Well, last night I was at Madonna's show, and it was supposed to start at 9 p.m. She didn't start for 3 hours. She made the audience wait for 3
I heard about that.
hours.
She pulled off the same thing in San Francisco, and
Really?
at an event, and she hardly played any of her vintage stuff. It was all like her newer stuff.
And she brought I guess these Portuguese dancers. That was part of her
part of her act
or whatever. And people were falling asleep. People left. People booed.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Philly fans last night.
Yeah, but you know what? The performer always have the last laugh because the money's already in the bank.
Yeah, but for future though, I mean,
have you ever seen a crowd turn around as much from one half to another as the Philly fans for the in the Giants game last night?
They had nothing to cheer about for the first through 2.5
I feel
quarters.
bad for Philadelphia because Zach Ertz is their only receiving threat. I mean, that was it.
Yeah, but
even their backup quarterback was getting ready to, get in there. I mean, they're just so depleted in the receiving core.
Oh yeah, no, they had to get Alshon Jeffries got really hurt, didn't he? So it's true. But on the other hand, I mean, the Giants 2-11. I mean, that their worst season I think so far in their history at this stage in the game.
And at the opposite end, as I look at the swag that you're wearing, 49ers 11-2.
They were my Stone Cold Lock, baby.
On top of the
Stone
NFC West, controlling their own destiny. All they got to do is beat the Falcons on Sunday. They're in the playoffs. And that's a team that I had predicted would win 7 games. I had them 7-9.
Wow. Well, yeah, who knew? So, okay, getting back to that. So, New England. All right. Question for you. First of all, this was like probably the first time in a long time New England fans booed, right?
Oh yeah.
But then, did New England really need to videotape the Bengals versus the Browns?
Well,
I mean, Bengals
let's first give Vern credit because he again called Kansas City beating New England.
That's true.
So that's 2 in a row. and you see something about New England that you know is a problem.
Yeah, I had. There are those in this day and age of guilty by accusation and court of public opinion is the straw that look at the Patriots and they look at a 42-year-old Tom Brady and they go, okay, this team has hit the wall, gone over the edge, or whatever, but they still got 10 wins. Okay, but people have been waiting for these chinks in the armor to really kind of reign true, and there's just something to be said for the younger, better, skilled player in these key positions to win a game. And I just remember last January. I mean, because I was in Tom Brady's home.
Oh yeah, that's right.
On the day of the AFC Championship game, and with his parents, watching him win. And I just remember, boy, Chiefs going to remember this one, and they did, and they were able to win that game. Now, the Patriots fans will say, "Hey, we were robbed of 2 touchdowns in that game." I mean, there was a bad call on at least one of those touchdowns. The guy was in bounds when he scored.
Yeah.
But hey, when you're playing at home, you're supposed to get those calls.
Yeah.
And they didn't get them.
Well, and also I think there's something to be said about, being on top for so long as Belichick's been. I think Belichick is more distracted this year than he's ever been before. They've just been
distracted. How?
Distracted. Well, one of these things is this allegation of him.
Oh, it was an allegation. You mean about the videotape?
Yeah.
They acknowledged that it happened. Belichick is just saying
it wasn't cheating.
I didn't know about it. I mean, I knew about it, but I didn't. But why?
Yeah. Why the Bengals? I mean,
because it was their next opponent.
And I know, but the Bengals.
No, but it was. It was like apparently for some web series that's going on.
That's what that's what the Patriots are saying. Oh, we were just shooting for our website,
and they were just they were going to do a web series on him with making up like a fictitious coach that was going up against Belichick, and they were having just that was going on in the background.
Permission?
They did from the Browns, but they didn't from the Bengals. So it's kind of a technicality that it's not. It really wasn't being used to cheat on the Bengals on purpose, but then that again, sense, why they had to do it during the season and why it had to involve Belichick, why Belichick couldn't say, you know what, I want to focus on getting the Patriots wins, another Super Bowl win. I don't need to be part of this web series. Why don't you go to Miami, or why don't you go to, there's plenty of other teams. I mean, the Browns obviously didn't mind being distracted because they suck. And they're not going anywhere. But why Belichick?
Well, you say that, but the Browns are still in the hunt for postseason.
Yeah, I would. They're not going anywhere. I don't.
At least not this year.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's getting back Connor, and they're getting back Smith-Schuster. So I think that they're going to wind up being the better team in the end over the Browns, who are just sort of creaking their way to the end of the season.
I'm glad you mentioned Pittsburgh. You know why? Because my vote for Coach of the Year is Mike Tomlin.
He's had to go through a lot, but no, I would be going with Shanahan personally.
Well, I'm going with Tomlin because Steelers started off 1-5, and look where they are now. They have been raging 7-1 ever since. With a team like that, they lost Antonio Brown. They lost Ben Roethlisberger. They had all these injuries,
Le'Veon Bell.
and Le'Veon Bell, and they still have been able to remain relevant for these last 8 weeks. That's why I give him the nod over Shanahan.
Shanahan gets it because look at where they were last year and the year before that. He's really built himself.
Sure.
The 49ers have now entered into that elite team status, and it only took 1 year off of being a 3-win team.
Yeah. Well, you got to go up back and all that.
Yeah, well,
once he stays in the pocket, he's
making it matter.
All right, guys. Second trivia question on no more excuses. Sometimes vanity can cause a positive drugs test. All right.
Vanity causing a positive drug test.
We're not talking Prince's friend, right?
Who?
Vanity.
No, not that Vanity.
Okay, this happened to an Israeli sailor named Udi Gal, who tested positive for steroids, masking agent called finasteride. Why was Gal, G-A-L, using finasteride? basically this guy was using a drug. Why was he using it?
to mask a positive test, right?
Nope. That's not the answer. All right.
Okay. All right.
We're going to be right back.
To fight seasickness?
Okay.
No, it has some vanity,
Okay.
Is that really, again, a sailing question? Wow, you really are.
I do have an Israeli sailor. What is a sailor?
I mean, I would have no idea.
Well, sailing is big. The oldest known trophy in sports is the America's Cup.
That's right, 1863.
Yeah, it has that distinction.
Yeah, and then after that, I guess it's Kentucky Derby.
No, probably some kind of boxing championship.
Not back to 1860s. You have to go 1878, I think, is when Kentucky Derby, and then in the 1880s, I think, is when you had
The Stanley Cup is pretty old too.
1896, I think that one is.
You also have like some wrestling titles that go back to the 1800s.
Yeah, and you think golf? I mean, golf was in the 1400s, but.
I hope one day you get a chance to meet George Kittle because I
love to meet George.
I want to be a fly on the wall to see you.
Oh my God, I'd love
George,
to meet him.
maybe George's dad, talk about just wrestling.
Oh my God, that's like a bucket list thing. I'd love to meet George Kittle.
You should reach out to him on Twitter.
Hit
him up on Twitter.
Yeah.
What do you got to lose?
Never. I guess now that I'm actually a sports broadcaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you could talk to me. Yeah, I would love to talk to George Kittle about that.
You can have him on and we can all talk wrestling. All right, guys, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Russell Jackman and Vernon Glenn. Second trivia question. Sometimes vanity can cause a positive drug test. This happened to an Israeli sailor named Udi Gal, who tested positive for steroids with a masking. Basically finasteride, which I don't even know what that is. So why was he using finasteride?
I'm going to guess male enhancement performance, something like that.
No, that would have been a good one.
Okay.
Another good one would have been for acne, for vanity, but no, it was to treat baldness.
Oh, okay.
So treating baldness, he had took this certain kind of medication, but apparently it is tested positive for steroids.
Seeped into his pores.
Yeah.
And then,
so I guess maybe that itself it's sort of like, I guess, taking poppy seeds and thinking you're taking Coke or something. Anyway, it's kind of a weird question. You'll like the next question.
Thank you. I don't think I would have known that.
Every once in a while we have to ask these weird questions here. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, I was watching. Okay, if you guys remember, Chris Paul called out Jordan Bell,
ex-Warrior.
Ex-Warrior, right? He had basically it was a delay of game because Jordan Bell was tucking in his shirt as he was coming onto the court, and because of that, he said, "Hey, delay game! He's tucking in his shirt," and the refs called it, which meant a technical foul, so the free throw, which Chris Paul or whoever made it for the Thunder, and it went into overtime. I mean, literally, Minnesota lost the game that they should have won because of that technical foul for not tucking in his shirt.
Well, you got to know the rules, and he obviously did.
So now, fast forward a couple of days, 2 delay of games are called against the Thunder because guys were like taking off their sweats and they like stepped onto the court. So you're supposed to take off your sweats and then step off.
You play by the book, you'll die by the book.
Well, that's the thing is, and so Chris Paul thought it was like retribution because calling out 2 of those penalties, and it's sort of like, I can kind of see that, but if it wasn't against the Thunder, they probably wouldn't have called it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
no, they don't.
He pointed out, he probably made the refs look bad because they didn't.
Maybe
after these games, a full report goes to the league on what happened, especially when technicals are called. And so the league fires back on, okay, well, if Paul's going to go there, then let's keep an eye on the Thunder moving forward, and then that happened, and then by rule, and I'm sure the Timberwolves were aware of it in their pregame prep or whatever, and I'm sure I'm sure something was said to the referees. Hey, to look out for that.
Instead of calling technicals on things that absolutely don't affect the game whatsoever, how about like getting rid of like the traveling, the Euro step that we see, Harden and Westbrook,
the crab dribble.
The crab dribble. The LeBron had a traveling call that was missed on him that was absolutely the most flagrant.
Against Utah.
Yeah,
he took like 3 steps.
Yeah, maybe
the guy's like, hey!
maybe you focus on that instead of worrying about people tucking in shirts. I'm saying there's stuff that happens during the game that the refs should be paying attention to, and they're obviously not paying attention to it, as opposed to these stupid little technical fouls.
True, but can you imagine being Jordan Bell, though? I mean, just not, who thinks about, because the guy's shooting a free throw.
Jordan Bell is a big disappointment. I mean, I thought he was going to be a big factor in the Warriors' future, and because of things that he was playing practical jokes on folks, and instead of focusing on his game.
Oh, is that what he was doing?
Well, he sent like a candle to Mike Brown's room and then charged it to him, and it was while he was still struggling on the bench, so he wasn't really like, you're Steph Curry and you pull a practical joke, even if it's not funny, people giggle.
Sure.
But when you're a struggling 11th or 12th man, and you pull
can't afford to do that.
No, you really can't. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Warriors didn't stay with Jordan Bell and let him go to Minnesota. And so again, his lack of discipline cost them another game. So.
Well, when you're joining that team, yes, you have to score, but you've got to play defense.
Yeah,
Bell was drafted because he came in as a shot blocker and he came in as a rebounder, like a force inside of the paint. And when that went south or became inconsistent, then the writing was on the wall for Jordan Bell.
Yeah, absolutely. And then going back to football a little bit, Antonio Brown apologizes and he wants to get back in the NFL.
Hey, man.
We don't forgive you.
I sit down with these former NFL players all the time. I ask them, what do you miss the most? One of two things come up immediately. First of all, hey, I miss being around the guys.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, I miss those game checks. You miss enough game checks, then, contrition comes back, boom, like that.
But the league moves on without you. That's the whole thing, is that, the newer
it's like a cruise ship. It just kind of leaves.
I really think New England was his last stop. I think that, when New England can't make something out of you, and I think that's hurt New England quite a bit too, because they were expecting to have a top-notch wide receiver out there to help out. I mean, you were just saying there's just not enough talent to make that team a great team. Once he blew it there, I don't think there's another team that wants to waste their time on it.
Yeah, another lost weapon for Tom Brady, who's used to spreading it around. And now he's having a hard time spreading around and finding these receivers. I mean, you take away Julian Edelman, what do you got? A back out of the backfield?
You have to go back to Gronk.
Yeah,
exactly,
Gronk,
on the sideline.
The shelf life date has passed on him to come back and help this year.
Well, what are you going to do? Back to baseball for a minute here. Astros stealing signs, but not with their eyes. Electronic cameras in center field, possibly the dugout. Hear about that?
Yeah. The league's investigating.
Yeah.
Shake me, wake me when that's over.
Well, I mean, and the Astros didn't win last year,
Sure.
so it obviously didn't help them, more than one season's worth. And I think everyone was so gaga over the Astros winning in the first place that they're going to get a pass on this. Well, what are you going to do? You can't vacate the title.
No, but I mean, electronic cameras. I mean, it's one thing when you guys are sitting on the bench and you can kind of see what's going on, or I mean, if you're on second base and you're kind of seeing what the catcher's doing, and I mean, that's not cheating. It's just you're on second base, you happen to see what's going on.
Well, let's talk. Out of the winter meetings. Let's talk about who's really being proactive in a lot of this, and that's the Philadelphia Phillies.
It's not the Giants.
Yeah, the Phillies went out, signed Zach Wheeler, a former Giants farmhand. He was their top prospect. They traded him to the Mets. That's how they got Carlos Beltran.
I know that was
for a cup of coffee.
But
Wheeler's he's a rich man throwing it up for the Philadelphia Phillies, who I still think are not done. They may go out and get Anthony Rendon because they need a third baseman.
Well, they swore that they would spend whatever money that it takes to become a champion, and I look at my San Francisco Giants and I'm very much distressed over how we've let a lot of guys go, including Pilar, which I thought was a big loss for, about $10 million a year. We haven't signed anyone. And I sort of think about like the guy that like waits too long to ask for a prom date. All the other dates start getting picked up, and suddenly you're like asking a cousin if they can come join you, at the big dance.
Yeah, but you got to get you got to get guys that want to come there. It's not an easy sell. If you're a power hitter, you got to really think about coming to the because
I want to play.
But Pilar got great numbers for SF and
at home.
Yeah,
at home.
He was batting well at home. He was one of the more clutch hitters of the Giants.
I want to play for either Wrigley or the Rockies.
Yeah.
If I'm the power hitter, that's where I want to hit.
Speaking of power hitting and Wrigley, what are the Cubs going to do with Chris Bryant? I hear he might be traded to the Atlanta Braves. He's one of the big free agent.
Yeah, but he's one of those guys you just kind of assume he's going to be with a team for
the Braves. The Braves picked up Will Smith, so you add a little bit more to that formula, and they could be a real. They were already a pretty good team last year.
And then here's the other big question: where's Garrett Cole going to land? A whole lot of suitors wait for him, and it looks like the teams with the most dollars are the Dodgers. And the Yankees.
Well, let me ask you about this. Howie Kendricks, right? He had a monster postseason. He was only offered a 1-year, $6.25 million.
That's only because he came alive during the World Series. Yeah. I mean, before the World Series happened, he had power, but he was inconsistent. Yeah. Like going back to your line, he's one of those guys sitting on the bench waiting for a dance. At kind of at the end before the lights go up. So
he took the deal though, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Well, I mean, you got to. I mean, money's money. I mean, it's you got to. How about Steve Strasburg returning to the Washington Nationals? $245 million.
245 large.
Well, we are Sports Econ 101, so we should be focusing on how big those salaries are. I mean, I remember in 1988, I was talking to a basketball coach of mine, a guy named Coach Cunningham, who was a former talent scout for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I said to him, somewhere down the line, we're going to see $1 billion player.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see $1 billion. And he was
right for the USFL. He was $1 billion.
Well, no, $40 million.
Yeah, he was.
He had $1 billion contract.
Billion? No, it was an annuity. It was a $40 million contract at the time.
Where do I hear the billion?
But I have a feeling we're gonna reach in our lifetime $1 billion contract.
I mean, if I'm Steven Strasburg, well, of course, you're on a winning team. But if let's say some monster player, right? Whether you get 100 million or 110 or 120, I mean, I'd look at that extra 10 or 20 million and say, listen, I want to be on a winning team.
Mm-hmm.
Give it to people. Give that extra money to people so we can have a winning team.
Yeah, but now we've seen the trend of people like Chris Paul and LeBron James and, guys that don't mind taking a big cut, and they'll say, you know what, you find the talent anyway. You go over the salary cap. You pay the luxury tax because I'm worth it.
Yeah. Speaking of worth it, what player out there is just produces year after year, MVP, and nobody talks about him? Mike Trout.
Well, people do talk about him, but I knew you were going to say Mike Trout. But
go out to the streets right now. Go up to 10 people and go, hey, Mike Trout. How many blank stares you going to get?
No. I mean, not that any...
People say they've heard of him, but
I think you would.
But after they say they've heard of him, just ask him a couple of deeper questions. You're not going to get it.
What team does he play for?
Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't know.
Nobody talks about the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
No,
nobody.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much stranded there.
They got a new owner. They got they put money in the new stadium. The owner bought 133 acres around the stadium. He wants to make a commitment to kind of bring them into some sort of relevance. But boy, you gotta bring in guys to play with Mike Trout if you want to get people talking about the Angels. And right now, nobody talking about it
in that area because where they play is
very
not
expensive.
Yeah, it is. It's not
beautiful ballpark, by the way.
I haven't been there, but my kids went to Chapman, so we're close to the.
It's right there.
It's right there.
Yeah,
it's very expensive.
Real estate.
Yeah, very very expensive. Okay, guys, we're going to cut to just one more time. We're going to go to our last trivia question here. And again, we're talking no more excuses. French tennis player Richard Gasquet.
First Israeli sailors, and now
Yeah,
French
I know.
tennis
Jeez, holy
players.
smokes.
And curling.
Okay,
last
get this.
week.
Okay, so he tested positive for cocaine use in March of 2009. The test results showed very low levels of cocaine, however, and Gasquet was able to convince a tribunal that he accidentally ingested the cocaine. How did he say that he got the cocaine in his system?
How do you accidentally?
Toilet seat?
The hell?
So here's our trivia question. In 2009, how did French player Richard Gasquet,
A tennis player,
yeah, how was he able to convince the tribunal that he accidentally ingested cocaine? What was his excuse? What did he say? How did he do it? What was it? What was his excuse? All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101 will be right back with some closing comments.
Thought it was the chalk line.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another.
This white powdery substance, and I fell in it.
Yeah,
And,
I was going for the deep dive on the swing beforehand.
See, I got to ask these kind of interesting.
Where do you even get stuff like this from?
From just looking on the internet, so it's got to be true. It's made up.
We got to put a blocker on this web browser.
Hey, if you want to come up with ones.
For
the business one, I'm going to come up with Gilligan's Island.
Really?
Trivia questions. Yeah.
give me 20 seconds to talk Iceman.
Oh, please.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right. How well do you remember Gilligan's Island?
Vividly.
Vividly. Okay. I'll ask you.
And I was a Marianne guy.
Yeah.
Not a Ginger.
You know what's funny?
I was a Marianne.
I was both, but yeah, I was Marianne too. I mean, Ginger was a little bit too flashy. Marianne had that Midwestern
Girl next door. You just
girl next door.
Yep.
Okay, so here's a couple easy trivia questions for you.
If you know.
Okay, first easy trivia question. What was her nickname? What would the husband
Lovey.
call? Lovey. Okay, that was easy. All right. Who played the Jungle Boy? Who was on one episode, and I don't think he talked, but he was a young.
He was an island boy.
He was an island boy. Yeah.
He was.
Do you remember the episode?
I don't.
Okay.
I do.
He became a famous actor. That's why I brought it up.
Is that
The castaways thought that maybe he could help him get off the island?
Exactly. Yeah, just found him a young boy, and
he had like an ape or something like that as a friend too. But I'm trying to remember who that was.
I'll give you that one. Ready?
Is it the guy from? It's not Jan Michael Vincent.
No, but it's funny because you get these guys mixed up.
Yeah, I get him from Chongo from Danger Island, but
Kurt Russell.
Kurt
Russell.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I had.
Who was a great ball player coming up in his own right. Did you know that? You didn't know that?
No.
Oh my God, you guys! Kurt Russell was a big time baseball player. Came up in I think maybe the Reds organization.
Yeah.
Played for a time for the Portland Timbers. But he was a great ball player, and then something happened with his shoulder, a rotator cuff or something like that. And that was the end of his baseball career. But you look up Kurt Russell.
It's interesting in the millions of roles that he's played, he's never played a baseball player.
I was going to say, I've never played him in that.
Okay,
and here's the last one. There was an episode where a rock band comes, kind of a beatnik type, almost.
Right.
What was the name of the group?
Damn.
You remember the episode?
No, I don't remember that one.
This
must have been toward the end of the run of Gilligan's Island.
That's right. It was probably toward the end.
Yeah,
because it was in color.
Because usually when a TV series is at the beginning of being in trouble, that's when you have the guest stars on.
Or you have
the baby. Well, no, these guys, none of these guys were famous. But it's just a trivia question. Yeah, what's the band? Well, yeah, I don't think any of these guys were.
Damn, like the Roaches or something.
Close.
The
Mosquitoes.
I knew they were trying to make fun of the Beatles.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. In fact, it's
been a long time since
I was looking at some old Lost in Space stuff.
Yes.
And just reading, I think it's, just information on it, and some of the cast had realized, we knew it was the end of our run when the latest Alien was a carrot.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Ivo.
I remember that
one.
I actually
it's like they really go a carrot.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
By the way, the new Lost in Space series on Netflix, very good.
Is it good?
I haven't watched it yet.
It is
I'm
very
saving
very
it to binge watch somewhere down the line.
I've been binge watching the morning show on Apple TV.
Oh,
very good. Marvelous Miss Maisel.
I need to
back
see that.
for season
Everyone
3.
says that's
I
great.
haven't seen.
Everyone
that.
says that's great.
Oh, it is fantastic.
Is it all on? Is it Lost in Space?
If you
I have to stop wasting my time with Warriors games.
Yeah. What's that?
Is Lost in Space on Netflix?
Netflix,
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw
For
The
now.
Irishman. I wasn't that impressed with it.
Didn't
Why?
see it. Didn't see it yet.
I mean, I love those three actors.
I saw it almost twice.
Really?
Mhm.
It's like, I guess they're just,
But interrupted.
it just
both
was
times?
too long. There was a little bit too much, like slow time for me.
I'll have to see.
But I do, because I like those kind of movies. I love Robert De Niro and, and Joe Pesci, as they say. Which is funny because until I saw Jersey Boys, I did not know that Joe Pesci was the one who introduced Frankie Valli to,
Martin Scorsese. Wait.
No. Okay, so Frank, if you ever see the Jersey Boys,
Sure.
okay, they talk about how to Bob Gaudio,
Oh, okay.
right, to get the group together, and because they call him Joey, and then toward the very end they finally go, yeah, Joey Pesci, and it's funny because
Well, they're all well. Scorsese and De Niro lived in the same neighborhood
oh, I didn't know
and
that.
grew up together. If you hated The Irishman, and it sounds like you did,
I didn't hate it.
then you didn't watch the 20-minute thing after that movie. It's like a 25 minute conversation with Scorsese, Pesci, De Niro.
Oh wow.
No, that would have been interesting.
and Pacino. It's
That
great.
would have been interesting to see. Okay.
Just talking about the very thing that you brought up. The length of the movie. And the thing that millennials just didn't understand how that
Although you're not a millennial.
To millennial it'll be like, well, you got a bunch of old guys and they're playing young guys. Couldn't they just gone out and gotten younger actors to play them, in the flashback kind of thing? But that just wasn't the point of.
No, they did a good job in the makeup to make them look young.
It wasn't makeup; it was software.
Oh.
It was software that's been developed now where you can go and incorporate the software
to make
them look younger than they actually
are. They did it. Okay, that makes sense. Because how do you get De Niro to look like that and Pesci to look, and then the older part they hold on. Okay, all right, you guys ready? Let's do this. You want to talk Heisman and then we'll close it all up. Here we go.
Heisman.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Third trivia question. French tennis player Richard Gasset tested positive for cocaine use in March 2009. The test results showed very low levels of cocaine. However, he was able to convince a tribunal he accidentally ingested the cocaine. How did he explain it?
I cannot wait to hear the answer.
I'm just going to say that he thought it was a chalk line. And
no, it gets better than that. Kissing a woman at a DJ party. That's how he says he got cocaine in his system.
Wow.
That's going to be my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Wow.
I mean, unless he was kissing her nose, I don't know how that's even.
I mean, unless someone's up here and he kisses it again. I don't know.
All right, before we cut out, you want to talk Heisman?
Well, when this show airs, it'll be the day that the Heisman Trophy is handed out. The front runner is Joe Burrow, the quarterback for LSU. Now, Burrow, he's thrown for almost 5,000 yards, 48 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. I mean, he's by far the clear front runner to win over the rest of the candidates, which include 2 Ohio State Buckeye teammates and Josh Fields and Chase the linebacker, not Chase Daniels, Chase Harris, I believe. Anyway, but Joe Burrow is expected to win over Jalen Hurts of the Oklahoma Sooners.
Wow. Well, we'll have to check that out next week.
Oh, wait, and one final thing. What's your stone cold lock for this Sunday?
49ers beat the Atlanta Falcons.
Yep.
claim a playoff berth and a chapter and a story for the 49ers that just continues to write itself.
There you go.
Each and every week.
All right, guys, we have to cut out. Here's our thoughts for the day. And this is more thoughts on the importance of walking, as we had last week. My grandpa started walking 5 miles a day when he was 60 years old. Now he's 97. We have no idea where he is. Yes. And if you're going to try cross-country skiing, start with small country. Ba-dum-bum.
There you go.
There we go.
These are all weight, folks.
Yeah. Tune in next
Try
week.
the veal.
Try the veal.
Tip your waitresses.
Tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions and having some laughter. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.
See ya. All right. Wow.
I thought you'd get a kick out of those thoughts.
Fast hour.
That's the fastest one in on the West. Actually, technically, it's 48 minutes or something. Something like that.
We round up.
48 minutes of frivolity.
But we continue the frivolity during the breaks anyway. So.
Yeah, it's about 45 minutes. Yes, we do.
Yeah, no, it's you got to throw in your lock every week on for your football stuff.
The stone cold left pipe lock.
Yes, because you're already 2-0. Why miss out on that?
That's right. People. It's funny. I used to be really good with the Super Bowl. You only have 2 teams. You have a pretty easy chance. And then
50-50.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. But then for a while, I was just getting smoked.
Well,
that's why I stopped betting a long time ago.
Well, and it's pretty hard to with New England. It's been very hard to predict. They've had years where they are, you think they're going to lose, they wind up winning. Mm-hmm. You think that they're going to win, they wind up losing. The Giants lost and the Philadelphia lost. Yeah, I'm sure they were going to win.
I have the